And speaking of South Carolina, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, he's with me now. Senator, thank you very much for joining us. Your reaction now, because we understand it was your letter along with that of John McCain that revealed this intelligence. They responded to you in a letter, as Wendell just quoted, that our intel does assess with varying degrees of confidence that the Syrian regime has used chemical weapons, they say on a small scale in Syria. Your thoughts?
Well, they say moderate to high probability. The Israelis a couple of days ago confirmed from their intelligence sources the use of chemical weapons. Our European allies have confirmed from their intelligence sources the use of chemical weapons. Our people say moderate to high probability. When you talk to the Syrian opposition, they'll tell you 100% from their point of view Assad has used chemical weapons against their people. So I think the red line's been crossed, and the question is now what?
I want to play, I don't want to waste too much of our time with tossing the sound bites, but this is an important one. This is President Obama on that so-called red line and the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Listen here.
A red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized. That would change my calculus.
The use of chemical weapons is and would be totally unacceptable. And if you make the tragic mistake of using these weapons, there will be consequences and you will be held accountable. The broader point is that once we establish the facts, I have made clear that the use of chemical weapons is a game changer.
A game changer. So what does that mean now?
Well, I hope it means that we, the international community, will rally around this new evidence. They've already killed 70,000 people. If you had listened to Senator McCain and myself 2 years ago, we would have stopped this before it got so out of hand. But we are where we are. So I hope the international community will provide a safe haven for the rebel forces, arm smartly, the right weapons in the right hands. If you could neutralize the Syrian Air Force, which we can do, and neutralize their tanks, then this war ends pretty quickly. But the number one goal for Lindsey Graham is who gets the chemical weapons. There's enough chemical weapons there to kill thousands, if not millions of people. So I want a game plan developed right now, the day after Assad falls. I want the Syrian Opposition Council to renounce the use of chemical weapons, allow them to be controlled and destroyed. That's the big prize right now, is to get those chemical weapons in our hands and the international community's hands, have them destroyed.
How do we do it, though, and how do we get the international partners to take the lead? Because you know as well as I do, the American people don't have a whole lot of appetite for getting involved in a civil war in Syria.
I hope the American people don't have a whole lot of appetite for allowing radical Islamists to get chemical weapons. Just look at Boston. The only reason they haven't killed million of Americans, they can't get a hold of the technology. Syria is awash with chemical weapons. I think the American people understand the threat of radical Islam probably more than this administration. So the international community, if we would lead, would follow. Regional players like Turkey, like Jordan, there's all kind of regional actors, including I think even the Russians, would want to secure these chemical weapons. Come up with a plan where the Syrian opposition shouldn't get any support from us unless they agree to allow the international community to control these chemical weapons and destroy them. I think they would if we pushed them. Come up with a plan now, because the day Assad falls, somebody needs to be ready to control the chemical weapons. And if we don't end this conflict soon, the King of Jordan is going to get overrun.
Last question on a different topic. We broke news earlier today talking about how the FBI gave a classified briefing on Capitol Hill yesterday expressing its disbelief that in the middle of their interrogation of the Boston bombing suspect, in walked a federal magistrate judge along with a federal public defender and assistant U.S. attorney and read the guy his rights. They said they weren't done. They said they were 16 hours into what they thought would be a 48-hour interrogation, and that the guy was providing valuable intel, and now he's clammed up. Your thoughts on that?
Well, this is the Eric Holder crowd basically refusing to embrace interrogation techniques available to us to make us safe. We shouldn't have relied on the public safety exception. That's a nuance in criminal law. There's ample evidence of radical Islamic associations here, radical Islamic motivations. We should have looked at this as a potential enemy combatant situation, gathered intelligence from this young man that could not be used in this criminal trial. We've held American citizens as enemy combatants for decades, but that would be admitting we're at war and we're fighting radical Islam. I know the FBI agents and the counterterrorism experts have to be incredibly frustrated that they could not continue to interview this suspect about what awaits us as a nation. This was a big mistake. They have not determined any anybody to be an enemy combatant. The underwear bomber, the Christmas Day bomber, Osama bin Laden's son-in-law was put right into the criminal system. We have under our law the right to gather intelligence under the national security legal system. We just don't use it in this administration. I know the FBI has got to be very frustrated. FBI is very frustrated. I know they got to be.
Need a quick answer to this, but are we sacrificing national security at the altar of criminal procedure in this case?
Yes, we're trying to play like there is no war when there is, and it's going to bite us. And I blame the administration for not having situational awareness and writing this off as to knock off jihadists. Bin Laden may be dead, but radical Islam is alive and well, and this administration's let their guard down.
Senator Graham, thanks for being here.